Welcome, strangers, to another skin tutorial. Today I'm going to teach you guys how I do dark skin. As you can see here, I already started doing some of the shading, and I even got started on the skin because I totally forgot that I was intending to record this. But I only did a little bit, just about the first step, and the shading over top is a completely different thing that we're not really going to be talking about today anyway, so we'll just jump right into it. I got a lot of requests to do dark skin on my TikTok mainly after I posted a video of my lighter skin tutorial, and I just wanted to let everybody know that it is actually the exact same process. And a lot of the people in the comments didn't believe me, but it's true. I use the exact same process for any color of skin, dark, light, in between. It's the same steps, which just proves we're all people on the inside and should all be treated equally. Remember that, okay? So we're on the first steps, right? And it's pretty super duper easy. It's the just base color lay-in of the shadows and stuff, and the roundness of the people. And if we zoom into my little tutorial that I made earlier that I use as a guide to help me remember my personal steps, we will see how I got to this color that I'm using to shade the character. So the first thing you want to do is just select the base color. I typically put it in both of my palettes. And I do work on a completely separate layer that has all the skin color on it, and you can either mask that layer or you can lock the layer pixels. Either way works perfectly fine. And you want to take my personal brush that I made, named Color and Edgy Mix. That one is really cool. You just rub it on, you just color it on over top of the skin and it'll give you a darker shade. And I'll do that once, maybe twice, and then that's the shade I'll use to go through and give the base shadows. I have a link to the store where you can download my coloring brush pack below if you're interested in following along exactly. If you're using a different program or you don't have the whatever amount the brushes are right now, then just choose a darker color. It's not that hard. I just prefer to do it the other way because it's quicker and I suck at color picking, so there's that. For this first step, I don't really have any magical tips for you. It's just you gotta kind of block in shapes, and they're gonna be messy and they're not gonna be right, and they'll become right later. But usually the things to think about are roundness. So you don't super have to think about shadows too much. You want to keep in mind the light source, but right now you really are trying to think about the roundness of the character and where you're going to need to show more depth so that your character looks like a 3D, person and not just, a 2D cartoon. Unless you want to do a 2D cartoon, but then I don't know why you're watching my video because I do realistic anime. And yeah. That's just kind of what we're doing. It's gonna be messy, it's gonna not be perfect, and it's certainly not gonna be right. This stage is just get messy, get in your shapes, and try and make things stand out is really what we're trying to go for. You can use any brush. I personally use my Hyun Colory, which is a brush that I made myself that is supposed to act like the brush that one of my favorite artists, Hyana Natsu, uses. She has this year actually posted her own brushes, so if you're interested in getting the official Hyana Natsu brushes, she actually has those available on Gumroad now, but she didn't for a long time, so I made this brush to try and do what I thought her brush did. So you're making it messy. So you've got these like quote unquote shapes. You've got this stuff going on that's like generally what the body's gonna look like, kind of where the big shadow places are going to be, and now we're just going in and messing it up, making it muddy. You want to pull that and push that and move it. And this stage right here is really where a style will shine in coloring, because the way you blend is probably completely unique to you. For the cleaning, it's mostly just going through with the null brushes and kind of choosing which edge to kill and choosing which edge to keep. So you have to have some edges, or else it's just blotchy looking. So you got to go in and choose what is going to be soft and what is going to be hard. So I want this line right here to be harder to show that the skin is being pushed, specifically pushed. Pay attention to where those gradients are put and where those hard edges are put. So now that all of our shapes are defined, we've moved on to the airbrush stage. So grab a purple color. You can use the one in my palette. It's a really nice, not too saturated purple. And you still want your darker skin color. And you want to go in with a bigger airbrush with the darker skin color and just kind of knock back a couple places. So behind the leg and on the sides of the body and like anywhere that's like far back. Just knock it back very soft. Then switch to the purple brush, make it a little smaller, make your mixed airbrush smaller because you want that airbrush to be on multiply. And then go in and under things, like under the chin, under the armpits, under the man titties. You want to go in and put that purple. It'll not only give it more shadow and shading and bring it back, it will also give it a lot of life because skin has a lot of purples and reds in it. And that is the next part, is to grab a red color, but I go on and you want to put those reds on the tops of things. So we put the purple on the bottoms underneath, red goes on top. So on top of the arms, on top of the clavicles, on top of the cheeks, on top of the lips and the nose. There's usually a little bit of right on the tippy top of your forehead. And it definitely goes on top of your knuckles. Your hands and stuff get a ton of those, especially in this anime style. Fingers are always usually more on the redder side. And so are knees. It's just kind of a style thing. But really anywhere with a joint is going to have red on the top for the blushies and purples on the shadows to bring it back. Let's talk about face shading. So the face, I mean, it's pretty similar to the rest of the body, really. You lay in the flat colors and then you take your blendy brushes and you blend it all out. But something I've noticed, especially for the anime style characters, is you really do not want to overdo the face. Like, it's all in the eyes. Like, you exaggerate the eyes and the mouth, and you can put a little shading on the nose, but you don't want to put too much on the sides of the face, or even really the hairline. Like, showing where the hair is falling over with like a shadow overlay is great, but if you put too much rounding and shading on the sides of the face or the top of the head, your character will kind of look weird and it'll just start to get really muddy, I suppose. So when you're done putting in all of these reds, we want to get a lighter color, big airbrush, give a little hit, small airbrush, go around and add where the skin is just going to be popping out. So on those edges where skin is squishing up to the surface, or has like the clavicles and stuff, and on the knuckles and joints where they're going to be getting those little hits of light. So I'll put a little medium airbrush to give it a little poof, and then I'll make it a lot smaller to give it more of like a hard dot. And I'll also use that harder FX glow for rim lighting, which can really make things pop. So you see here, I'm going through and giving those flecks and that rim lighting of that smaller, just really contrasting thing. thank you guys so much for watching my tutorial. If you want the full uncut version, you can get it by becoming my patron, or you can also find it in the link to the description. It should be on my summer 2020 Patreon care package if you just want the care package itself with the full length tutorial, or if you want to become my patron and support me monthly and help me bring more comics into this world, I would really appreciate it. And then you will be able to see every brushstroke, every single little thing, and hear all my entire babbling about tips and tricks and things that I do to make my art. So I really hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and for your support. And remember, guys, to stay strange.